Özge Yağız slipped away to Budapest, and the internet hasn't stopped buzzing since. Not just a city break, not just a breather, there's a hush around this trip that feels like something bigger. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. If you're here, it's because you know this isn't a random holiday story. It's a breadcrumb trail, and we're following it all the way to the end. Here's where it starts. Özge, who plays Nisan in Esref Rüya, has been the anchor of one of the most talked about shows on television this season. Between high-intensity scenes, relentless schedules, and keeping up with the characters' emotional labyrinth, she took a breath, then a flight. The destination, Budapest. A handful of photos, soft captions, and a deliberate calm were enough to set the rumor mill on fire. Was this simply a pause from a demanding set? Or did she choose this city to process the weight that comes from carrying Nisan's storms on her shoulders? Pensive poses, almost solitary frames, a certain faraway look, it all nudged the same question into focus: what's the story behind the trip? We're peeling back what's behind those calm images, whispers from the set of Esref Rüya, what fans noticed that others missed, and why comment sections split straight down the middle. Watch closely, because toward the end we'll unpack the sharpest theories and the most surprising reactions that sent shockwaves through her fandom. First, the obvious headline, Özge in Budapest. The photos, posted without fuss, detonated across social media in seconds. Nisan, our Nisan, stepped away from cameras, and the talk hasn't slowed. Esref Rüya has gripped viewers from the pilot, not just for its plot but for the depth of its characters, and Nisan remains the emotional center. Özge's screen presence has been impossible to ignore. This time, though, she drew attention not through a scene, but through the careful craft of her vacation posts, quiet, elegant, unfinished, like a sentence you're meant to complete. The filming schedule leading up to this moment has been punishing. Nisan's story, dense with confrontations and buried memories, demands that raw, taxing kind of commitment that doesn't disappear when the camera cuts. People on set say the plan for a reset had been in motion for weeks. No abrupt exits here, no secret last-minute bookings. Everything was penciled into the calendar, aligned with the production's rhythm, and approved with a knowing nod. She needed this to shake off Nisan's skin before the next round. Then there's the social media strategy. Özge uses her platforms with intention, warm enough to feel close, private enough to protect her life from becoming a public living room. Millions watch her every move, yet there's a control to how she shares. From Budapest, she posted an elegant string of images: daylight cutting across old stone, the river like a ribbon, maps folded into pockets, a look that was both soft and resolute. Natural makeup, urban silhouettes, a gaze somewhere between here and later. At first glance, it was a city break. Look again, and it became a riddle. Some fans took it at face value, a woman resetting after carrying a role that leaves marks. Others felt a threshold, that these images announce a new phase, not loud, but irreversible. What truly stirred the pot was how often she appeared alone. A coffee set for one. A walk that lingered. An empty chair across the table. Was it a simple solo escape? Or the careful framing of a moment that asks to be read more than seen? You could hear the curiosity clicking through the comments. Who snapped the photo? Was someone just outside the frame? Was she meeting someone between shots and steps? Budapest isn't an accidental choice. It's the city of bridges, romantic without being obvious, historic without being staged. Choosing it over, say, Paris or Rome looks intentional, like she sought distance from spectacle. She strolled the chain bridge and paused beneath Buda Castle, hovered at the edge of a cafe window just long enough for the glass to catch her outline. The thermal baths blurred into slow fog while she stood beside the water's edge, the caption pared to the bone. In the images, nobody stood by her. If there was company, the city swallowed it whole. The audience split immediately. One group cheered what they read as power and self-knowledge: let her breathe, she's earned it. They posted edits of her strongest on-screen moments, holding her up as a portrait of independence. The other group, meanwhile, had their detective hats on. They pulled out words like escape, calm before a choice, the edge of something. In their minds, life and art braided. Nissen ran, Özge rests. The storyline and reality fused into a mirror, each reflecting back at the other. And then love entered the frame, as it always does. For months, stories about her and Gökberk Demirci had cooled to a respectful murmur while both prioritized work. Budapest turned the volume up without raising a voice. Spending time alone in a busy city has its own electricity, its own kind of privacy. That's where the whispers began. A secret meeting, a talk scheduled for when eyes were elsewhere, something delicate that needed room to breathe. Some tabloids said she dropped in on a friend living there. Others murmured about a hush-hush international collaboration. A more tantalizing version suggested a near miss, his travel calendar brushing against hers for a moment that may or may not have materialized. No confirmations. No denials. Posts stayed measured. Silence built the scaffolding of every theory. Let's talk style, because fashion amplified everything. Her Budapest wardrobe formed a story of its own, long coats and classic cuts, oversized jackets that softened and protected, simple dresses that moved like water, hair left with natural ease. The effect was timeless, risk-free, and somehow piercing. People rushed to ID the camel coat, the knit scarf, the pared-down crossbody. Another trend born from a walk and a glance. No drama. Just gravity. On screen, Nissen is stitched from solitude and hard choices. Off-screen, those Budapest photos spoke in similar colors. Some fans swear she hasn't fully stepped out of her character yet, that those looks are Nissen's echoes. Others insist the resemblance is strategic, an actor distilling a role's residue into clarity, then washing it away. If this trip is a ritual, it's a gentle one, turn the page, breathe, and mean it. How long will she stay? No one close is saying, but word is the set's gearing up for intense sequences. The story is about to hit a precipice. Shooting those moments with a steady heart matters, and recharging now is the smart play. The bigger question pulling everyone's attention is simpler and harder at once. Is this only a pause, or the beginning of something she'll name later? And if that later includes Gökberk, how will the two of them shape it, private, grown, and theirs? The impact of these few images has been outsized. This wasn't a loud declaration, it was a whisper that shook the room. Some view it as a power move, a quiet restatement that she sets her own rhythm. Others hear the prelude to a reveal, fresh work on the horizon, or an old love re-entering the story with new terms. Either way, curiosity didn't just rise, it crystallized. Nissen continues to evolve on Esrefria. In parallel, a real-life interlude along the Danube keeps the audience watching, even when the episode cuts to black. Let's step into the background for a second. People around the production say she's been carrying the role home, breathing softer, speaking slower, bracing for scenes the way athletes brace for impact. Schedules were reshaped around heavy stretches, with protective buffers to keep the core performance clean. Budapest wasn't improvised. It was a pressure valve, circled twice on a calendar. Meanwhile, fans played their favorite game, zooming into reflections to read companions from a shard of glass, counting coffee cups, timing posts, reading captions like poems. Even Gökberk's interviews, calm, focused on craft, respectful, were picked apart for a flicker of subtext. Insider chatter is rarely a single voice. One thread claims a European brand asked for a vision meeting, Budapest chosen for discretion and a mood. Another voice says it was nothing but air and time, a notebook, a pen, long walk stitched together by weather and thought. A third whispers it was a conversation with someone she trusts, no scandal, just the courage to ask big questions. And then there's the romantics version, the one that refuses to die, that bridges were chosen on purpose, to test whether an old connection could meet in the middle without collapsing from the weight of history. As for Gökberk, his presence has been disciplined and steady. He trains, rehearses, posts sparingly. A like appears, a like disappears, a night passes. Was it a glitch or a signal? That's the thing with the internet, every pixel can be a clue if you want it to be. Those who love them as a pair see threads pulling tight again, those who prefer clean lines suggest coincidence. Neither side is wrong, and neither has proof. Back to the photos, because images leave fingerprints. The hour looked early. The streets were gentle. A scarf tugged up against the jawline, gloves tucked into a pocket, a smile that seemed mid-thought. Another frame put her near the baths, fog rising like a curtain. The caption stayed elliptical, air and time. No rush. Pages turning. Short phrases became arguments people had with each other for hours. What do pages mean if not a chapter? What does no rush suggest if not patience with a decision still unmade? Özge has built a careful boundary. Warmth without exposure, kindness without surrender. That's why this set of posts hit so hard. They felt candid and coded at the same time. It's a rare skill, and it keeps her audience invested without feeding the appetite for every detail. Some wrote her love letters in the comments. Others demanded answers as if she owed them a map. Most just saved the looks for inspiration and waited for the next message, whether it's a scene, a caption, or a candid laugh. From a career lens, Budapest makes strategic sense. It's central, graceful, accessible, and not oversaturated with paparazzi. A script can appear on a table without a dozen cameras smelling it. Meetings can happen with the quiet you need to listen. If, instead, this is about love, maybe love that's matured, maybe love that's finding its footing again, then a city like this is a good place to talk. To say things carefully. To leave with dignity, whatever the outcome. Meanwhile, Esra keeps tightening the screws. Nissen is approaching a sharp bend in the road. The directors want that look in the eyes that happens only when an actor is present and brave. People on set say arrested leading lady is a sharpened blade. Fans feel the tremor already, sensing that the episodes ahead will ask a lot from them too. The fandom, for its part, has split into two main constellations. The Independence crew makes video edits of her walking against cityscapes, set to winter strings. The romantics compile flashbacks of Özge and Gökberk, red carpets, interviews, glances that said more than the questions ever could. They disagree on outcomes but agree on a single hope, that whatever comes next will be honest and will belong to them. Listen long enough and you recognize a truth about public life, even the quietest afternoon makes noise when it belongs to someone people love. A bench by a river becomes a thesis. A hand in a pocket becomes a story. Budapest is an echo chamber for subtlety, it can make 3 words ring louder than a speech. So, is this a pause or a prologue? A contract or a conversation? Are there new scripts on her table or familiar voices on the other end of a call? Maybe it's all of it at once, work and heart and timing, braided in a way that only makes sense later. Until then, the best we can do is read gently, wait patiently, and remember that a person can choose privacy without choosing distance. Stay with Turkish Spotlight Secrets, because we're watching how the clues align, the hues of her wardrobe, the rhythms of his updates, the arc of Nissen and Esra, the dates that match and those that don't. When something shifts from whisper to word, you'll hear it here first. For now, drop your take in the comments. Is Budapest a reset, a reunion, or a rehearsal dinner for a brand new era? Do you see a story unfolding between 2 bridges, or an actress claiming her piece before stepping into the fire again? Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll be back with what's being said in the wings, what slips between the lines, and the moments that look small until they start a storm.